Hey, what it do, family? Back again for another quick biblical study today. I want to talk about. I'm gonna title this one "The System of Marriage." And first off, give praise to the Most High Yah, because He kind of put it on me. Just the fact you hear about relationships or the lack thereof. Sometimes you don't hear about it. You see it or you don't see it, and particularly within the community, you don't see a lot of it. And one of the things that the Father kind of was ministering to me is the lack of system that we have, which produces relationships. So your relationship can either come out of your culture, which is a very, very big function out of the Near East. When you're talking about Asia, Africa, the Middle East, or whatever, finding a wife or the family, meeting to other families to find that wife or that husband is a big thing. And I think the Hispanic culture, they have the quinceañera, I think, where that it's that coming of age for that woman. Those type of things promote growth, and that growth promotes womanhood or manhood, and eventually relationshiphood, meaning in the sense that it's that next step of growing. I think within our community, one thing that we've been kind of dealt with, the hand we've been dealt with, if you will, is this ideology where you just got to find it, which is a very westernized ideology. Now, back, 50, 60 years ago, marriage was a thing that happened. You met someone in the neighborhood. I read a study on that. Most people had married somebody they lived by. Then it was a thing where you married someone that you probably went to church with. And then now it's kind of spread out where it could be online dating, it could be anything, but typically it doesn't happen much. And so what ended up happening when it don't happen much is you get a group of people, men and women, who are just single, and their theory is, I'm waiting on I'm waiting on God, I'm waiting on the Most High to send me someone. Now that can happen. Let's not that can definitely happen, but the thing about that is, biblically, that's not necessarily his system. It is in some ways, because you should ask, and we should, the Father said, whatever we ask, we can ask. But that's one way, but to have a system of it is another way, and we lacked any system. So what I mean by that is, the community is no longer actively in search for that mate, or the family is not. And then when people find each other, guess what? They're so individualized that it's not a coming together of the families. There's been so much breakage, so much divorce, so much animosity on both sides, meaning people, families, that there's no type of oneness there. I read a biblical commentary that was so fascinating. It said, you hear the scripture out of Genesis and then other parts where it says a man, you know, you leave the father and mother and unite to his wife in that one flesh. People don't realize in the ancient East what that meant was that the wife and the husband take precedence over the family. I mean, over the mothers and fathers when it comes to the importance, when it comes to their importance. But they didn't really physically leave them as far as proximity, because in the ancient East, the family or the kid thereof stayed on the land of the father, which makes very much so good sense, because in Proverbs it says houses and money and wealth are inherited for parents, but only a good wife comes from Yah, comes from the father. So it wasn't you leaving them forever. It was the importance is now placed on them, but they, meaning you and them, you and your parents, were still kind of close. You just either moved a little bit away from them, or the importance of who's first and who's second changed a little bit. So we gotta get back to a system and start thinking like this if we want to see the area of relationships and the area of marriage improve within our community. And of course, I always talk about similar this type of stuff because I'm passionate about it, and thank the Father for putting this on me. So anyway, we're gonna go to Genesis 24. I'm not gonna try to read too many scriptures there. We're gonna go to Genesis 24, just a little, about early in the 10 something in the a.m. A little quick breakfast Bible study to get us going today. Excuse me for lighting, Father. Guys, I wanna really need to start making these in the living room, but family situation, so you got to work with what you got to work with. And made me think about the Father when he said, go in your room or your closet and pray and shut the door. I guess me, I'm doing it literally. But let's go to Genesis 24, and this should be a chapter that we may know and all, but Isaac and Rebekah. And we'll read this, guys. Genesis 24 says, now Abraham was old and well advanced in years, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of the household, who he had put in charge of all that he had, put your hand under my thigh, that I may make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and God of earth, that you will not take a wife for my son amongst you. Hold on, let me slow down. You will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but will go to my country and to my kindred, and take a wife for my son Isaac. The servant said to him, perhaps the woman may not be willing to follow me to the land. Must I take your son back to the land from which you come? Abraham said to him, see to it that you do not take my son back. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and who spoke to me and swore to me, to your offspring I will give this land. He will send his angel before you, uh, before you shall take a wife before you, and shall take a wife for my son from there. But if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this oath of mine. Only you must not take my son back here. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham. His master swore to him concerning the matter. Then his servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, taking all sorts of choice gifts from his master. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. And he made the camels kneel down outside by the city well of water at the time of evening. And when the women go out in water, and I'm gonna stop right here because this point I want to make is this. So Abraham, the father of many nations, and the patriarch of the faith, we're talking about the Hebrew people. Abraham seen the need for his son to have a wife, that Ish. But the thing about that is that father had the foresight to say, don't take a wife from amongst these people who he considered to be like a heathen nation. And the thing with that is, see, marriage, it's a connective force. Now, see, Abraham said in this verse, he said, take him um, to the country of my kindred. Now, of course, in the Bible, they had a different style, meaning, you marry distant cousins and that type of thing. But the take him to my kindred is also a connecting force there. And it reminds me of Solomon in the book of Kings and Chronicles, how a lot of Solomon marriages now eventually he led his heart away from the Most High, but a lot of his marriages, they were alliances. So when he married the daughter of the Egyptian Pharaoh, that was an alliance. When he married, those other women, it was an alliance there, meaning it was something more there. And I think that's a very important part because, see, marriage is a connective force of the community and of people in that family. So when you have so much of individuals and no connective force of families being together, you're gonna have a bad economy, you're gonna have bad togetherness, you're gonna have tough times, like because it's no undergirding of the foundation of the people. That's why when the Most High instituted marriage, when he said it's not good for man to be alone, that's a physical thing, but it's not just physical. That is a family thing. That is a net thing. That's why whenever I keep talking about this, but the ancient East, it is a group effort. And I think in our country, we got to make sure that we're not so individualized in our thinking that we forget that we all must have an interest in the marriages of one another. And when I say interest, that doesn't mean have a say in it per se, but what it means is that we all should want it. We all should be wanting to promote good relationships for our community. Because think about it, if you're in a community and it's a plethora of good relationships, guess who's going to benefit from that? The children are going to benefit from that. They're going to benefit from that. Guess who's going to benefit? The teachers are going to benefit from that. Why? Because children probably going to be a little bit more well behaved. Guess who else is going to benefit? The community. There's going to be a lot less crime when you have a lot more families that are invested in their community, invested in their children, invested in their spiritual growth, invested in their financial growth, invested in their relationships, invested in their psychological and spiritual well-being. There is a 360 view that we must have, and we must understand it's like a ecosystem. When you got an ecosystem that's missing some important factors, just like the earth, if it's missing all the trees, guess who's going to suffer? Everything around them, the people, the birds, so on and so forth. So if marriage is missing within the community and the culture, and if it's not that connective force, everyone will suffer from that. Everyone will suffer from that. And out of that breakage, all type of issues and all type of wrongdoing will flow if that family unit is not connected. Well, we'll end on that one. 10 minutes, or probably not a long study, but just a short one, just to highlight the importance of marriage. Abraham said, go find a wife from among my kindred, because he knew that his time was up, but he needed to make sure his lineage would continue further on down the line. That not only would his lineage continue, that it would be in a proper avenue, the proper way, because he knew that amongst his lineage is blessings. And guess what? I don't want my son who's going to inherit these things to get yoked up with the wrong woman, and that wrong woman, almost sabotage what's put on us as far as our lineage. And of course, Rebecca went on and Isaac went on and married Rebecca, and of course, Rebecca had two sons, and we know that story. But picking the right one, understanding the duty of marriage, understanding that once you make that commitment and you stay with it, you're doing something that has the potential to bless your posterity for a long time. And I think people in this country don't look at it like that. And that's why you hear so much of the complaining and the issues and who's breaking up 24/7 on the news cycle, because they know that that's one of the most important areas, and it's one of the most important areas that's under attack, and people don't see the importance of it from a family type of viewpoint. Anyway, guys, take care and be blessed. Peace.